The door is open for this AEW wrestler to return to WWE. But first, was an AEW talent attacked by a fan? There's been a whole bunch of wrestling this past weekend, whether it be AEW Collision, Impact Slammiversary, and the start of the G1 Climax in New Japan, and that's just to name a few. Another big show that went down this on Saturday night was Lucha Libre AAA's Triple Mania Tijuana event, headlined by a match between Mega Champion El Hijo del Vikingo and Kenny Omega with the title on the line. During the match, Omega's former manager Don Callis would attempt to help Vikingo retain the belt. However, AAA booker Conan showed up to order his exit from ringside, which evened the playing field. With that said, the babyface Vikingo managed to keep hold of his belt with a clean win over the cleaner, holding on to the biggest prize in Lucha. It was what happened after the event that caught the headlines, however, as during a post-show angle at the press conference, somebody that people assumed was a fan laid hands on Callis, taking him down during a planned brawl between Omega and Konosuke Takeshita, something that was reported by the likes of Wrestling Observer's Brian Alvarez on Twitter. However, it has since been confirmed by PW Insider that the man was actually not a fan, but a member of AAA's security team, although it's not confirmed if he was aware that the angle would take place. It's worth noting that by the time the angle happened, the arena had no fans inside the building, something that is obvious by the footage that is circulated. And next up, an All Elite Wrestling signing has been confirmed. This past Saturday night, Ring of Honor commentator Ian Riccaboni would take over the duties of Kevin Kelly on the commentary desk on AEW Collision, with Kelly currently away in Japan for the G1 Climax tournament. Shortly after the show, a report would emerge from Fightful Select that revealed Ian has signed a multi-year deal with AEW and will be making several appearances on Collision throughout the summer, this due to Kevin Kelly's outside commitments. The report also revealed that Riccaboni did turn down a full-time spot on Collision and notes, "We're told that Riccaboni was actually originally offered the role to do AEW Collision full-time, but cited prioritizing family as a reason he didn't want to do it full-time and recommended Kevin Kelly for the spot. Riccaboni will call for the next 4 episodes of AEW Collision and will also spell both Kevin Kelly and Excalibur when they need time off. He's primarily been calling ROH shows remotely." The G1 Climax is scheduled to conclude on August 13th, which is a Sunday night, so we can likely expect Kevin Kelly to return to full-time Collision duties on August 19th. Next, a WWE superstar has deleted their Twitter account. On Friday's episode of WWE SmackDown, Elton Prince of the Pretty Deadly Tag Team would suffer a shoulder injury during an exchange with Brawling Brute's Ridge Holland, with the knock believed to have taken place during a belly-to-belly suplex spot. This would lead to a ton of hate being sent to Ridge on social media, with claims that he was an unsafe worker. Ridge would then respond to the situation, noting that the injury actually occurred during a tackle/pounce spot, and he would write, "So to set people straight before they get all pissy, it wasn't the belly to belly, it was a wonky landing from the pounce, out of my control, wishing Elton Prince a speedy recovery." Ridge has been on the end of online abuse and even received death threats in the past after the injury to former WWE champion Big E after an overhead suplex on the outside caused him to land on his head and break his neck. However, with both incidents, it's clear that the injuries were just accidents and not a reflection of Holland's wrestling ability or lack thereof, with injuries like this being commonplace in such a physical endeavor. And next, a WWE superstar has been granted their release. This weekend on a news video, we would present the theory that Eric Young had been released from WWE, with him being the likely candidate to fill the mystery spot at Impact Wrestling's Slammiversary pay-per-view. This after he was spotted at a Detroit airport prior to the show. This on top of hints that pointed to the mystery man being a former member of Team Canada. The speculation turned out to be true in the end, as EY would show up in Windsor, Ontario on Saturday night to link up with Impact EVP Scott D'Amore to take on Dina and Bully Ray, scoring a win in the process. According to Fightful Select, the appearance follows a recent request from Young to be released from WWE, with him not so keen on working with Vince McMahon, who returned to office, and the report notes, Fightful Select has confirmed that Eric Young asked for his release in April 2023, was granted it, and finished out his 90-day no-compete clause just last week. We're told by WWE sources that this request for release was right after the announcement of Endeavor's deal with WWE, and this wasn't a coincidence. Eric Young didn't want to work with Vince McMahon after the Endeavor deal was announced, and it was evident that McMahon was back in the fold in an official capacity. Young re-signed with WWE back in November 2022 before Vince's return, although he would not actually appear on television. Vince McMahon would then return to WWE in January 2023, and Young is said to have cited moral, creative, and personal reasons as to why he didn't want to work with the WWE chairman. And next, 2 Impact Wrestling stars have departed the company. Following the Slammiversary pay-per-view and the Impact TV tapings the next day, we have news on 2 Impact wrestlers that are no longer with the company. According to PW Insider, both Zicky Dice and Nick Aldis finished up with Impact after Sunday's tapings in Windsor, Ontario. Dice would take part in a Loser Leaves Town match yesterday where he took on Johnny Swinger, whilst Aldis, who would compete in the main event of Slammiversary when he successfully challenged Alex Shelley for the Impact World Championship, would wrestle Eric Young yesterday in a match that will air this Thursday night. Aldis had only recently returned to Impact this past April at Rebellion, with his short stint now complete. It's been reported by PW Insider that sources within WWE have revealed that they're actually interested in bringing in Nick Aldis, although it's unclear if this was the reason for him wrapping up with Impact this weekend. What we do know is that he was under a short-term agreement described by Fightful as a feeling out process for the 2 sides. The WWE interest is said to be for him to enter a potential producer role, and that he may go through a trial process for the role as soon as next month. But where do you see Nick Aldis signing for now that he's a free agent? Let me know in the comments down below. Next up, were new champions crowned on AEW Collision? Let's move on to the events of this past Saturday's episode of Collision, where FTR would put their AEW tag team titles on the line against Jay White and Juice Robinson of Bullet Club Gold, this in a 2 out of 3 falls match. In what turned out to be an incredible 1-hour epic to open the show, FTR would eventually overcome the 1-0 deficit to make the score 2-1, securing the victory and retaining their AEW tag belts in the process. The final fall would see Dax Harwood lock Juice Robinson into a sharpshooter, one of many that we saw throughout the match in tribute to hometown Calgary native Bret the Hitman Hart, with rock hard Juice Robinson being forced to tap out. We now wait to find out if this will be the end of the recent rivalry between FTR and Bullet Club Gold, or if this will be turned into a trilogy, with both teams currently sitting with a record of 1-1 against each other in terms of actual match results, with Dax and Cash leading 3-2 when it comes to falls. But where do you rank FTR versus BCG when it comes to best matches of 2023? Let me know in the comments down below. And next, who left AEW Collision as the winners of the Owen Hart Foundation tournaments? Speaking of the Hart family, the show would also see the finals for both the men's and women's Owen Hart Cup, with Willow Nightingale battling last year's finalist Ruby Soho, while CM Punk took on Ricky Starks in the night's main event. The women's final would go down first, with it being Willow that managed to walk away with the win, winning both the Owen Hart Cup trophy and belt in the process. The awards weren't the only thing that she earned, however, as following her semi-final win over ROH Women's Champion Athena this past Friday on Rampage, it was confirmed that she will now challenge for the ROH title next week at Death Before Dishonor, a match made official on Saturday's Battle of belts. As for the men's side of things, it was Ricky Starks that just about got past CM Punk to win the Owen, with a little help from the ropes during a pinfall. Ricky could then be seen snatching the trophy from New Japan Pro-Wrestling legend and Owen's former rival, Jushin Thunder Liger, with him showing very little respect to close the night. And what did you make of this weekend's episode of AEW Collision? Let me know in the comments down below. And next, the door is open for this AEW wrestler to return to WWE. In July 2022, then WWE superstar Paige would exit the company following the expiration of her contract, before later joining All Elite Wrestling in November, ultimately being cleared for the first time since December 2017. Speaking with Inside the Ropes this week, Saraya would open up about her WWE exit and a subsequent phone call from Triple H once he took over creative, and she said, He just called me and he was like, so what was the deal? Did you just want to leave? And I was just like, well, it wasn't that. It was just I wasn't of use, I guess, anymore, and that was on their side. I had that conversation with Hunter and he was really, really great. And he was like, if you want to come back, the door's open, and he was really, really gracious and kind, and he always has been. Saraya now finds herself as a key member of the Outcasts faction in AEW, with her likely soon heading to Wembley Stadium in her home nation of England. And before you go, make sure you check out how AEW can change wrestling forever.